Welcome back, friends and neighbors, to another edition of Somewhere Downrange. I'm your host, your old buddy Brad, and today we are looking at something that I would compare to a hen's teeth. Man, I am 64 years and a couple weeks old, and up until just a day ago, I did not know that these existed. Stand by and let's talk about the very rare high standard Model G 380 Auto pistol. Yes, friends and neighbors, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, today's video deals with a very, very seldom seen and scarce object. American made, high standard. This is something that just, including myself, not a lot of people ever knew existed. I mean, if you are a collector of high standards, yeah, more than likely you knew. But for the people that weren't collectors of them, for the people that never really got heavily into them, like Winchester collectors, Remington collectors, all the other Ruger collectors and all that stuff, you just wouldn't know about this because you wouldn't be studying it in depth. I stopped into a local distributor located here in my hometown, and I just was browsing through there on lunch, and one of the guys that worked there said, "Brad, I got something here in the case that I bet you've never seen." And I said, "Well, now Ryan, that's going to be a stretch." He walked over and grabbed this, and as I saw him pulling it out, I thought, man, I've seen 1,000 high standard 22 pistols. But when he laid it down, I looked at the side, and he informed me that this was not a 22, that this was a 380. I said, "You gotta be shitting me." And he said, "Nope. Shit you not." Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time, I laid my hands on and walked out with a high standard Model G 380 semi-auto pistol, the likes of which I had never heretofore, unseen to yesterday, had a clue existed. Now, obviously, this looks so much like the 22 variant that you would think, man, there can't be a lot of difference, and there isn't, except for the caliber, maybe a little bit of the weight of the weapon. It's got the, ubiquitous and very iconic hard slant magazine in that grip. Holds 6 rounds of 380 auto. Put one in the pipe, you got 7 rounds. I honestly think that if James Bond had been an American spy instead of British, he'd have been carrying one of these. Now, these started in production in 1947, and they ran for a total of until early to mid 1950, at which time High Standard ceased production and actually did destroy quite a few of them still in-house at the factory because these things just weren't selling. Now, you have to remember, this is basically 2.5 years after the end of World War II. You think about the strength of money and how little things might have cost pre-war, and then after the war, well, you'd had all the rationing, you had all the scrap metal drives, the rubber drives, and all that other stuff to finance and equip the end of the last couple of years of the war. And so you think about the fact that, yeah, money was at a premium. And High Standard released these, 47, to the commercial market. They actually started building them for the government. They were going to be used, and there might have been some that were, as a suppressed weapon, specifically for, CIA, OSS, them kind of folks. But they said, let's put them on the civilian market. MSRP on this weapon, new in the box from the factory out of the distributor, was just right at $50. Now think about this, $50 in 1947 or 48. That was about a month and a half, maybe 7 weeks take-home pay for any regular individual out there and about. And some of them did sell, but that's the reason why they discontinued the product line in 1950, was the fact that they just weren't selling very fast. And there were actually, I won't call them distributors, but retailers that had these. They ordered them, ordered a bunch of them, thought it was going to be Cat Daddy, got them in the store, and some places by the 1949, 1950, 1951, and 52, even after discontinued, just couldn't sell them. I mean, they had them marked down to prices that were, ridiculous. $29, $25, $22. $22 for a .380 pistol. One of the points that kept this from being a high-selling pistol was, although it is very well built and had a reputation for being a fine manufacturer, it was in .380 auto, and trying to find ammunition for a .380 auto was almost like trying to find a wise man in Washington. There just wasn't a lot of the ammunition out there. You think .380 is hard to find nowadays. Think about 1947, 48. The only pistols shooting .380 auto were basically the Colt Pocket Auto or Walthers from Germany, bringbacks, things like that, European. And so there just wasn't a big demand for that ammunition in the first place. And so supplies were very limited. And it was post-war time. Anybody cranking out ammo was cranking out ammo for other stuff. At that period of time, when you bought a box of 50 rounds of .380 auto, if you could find it, you were going to pay the exorbitant price of almost $4 for a box. Wow. But you have to remember, at the same time, 22 long rifle ammunition was going for, now depending on where you bought it, anywhere from 25 to 35 cents a box for 50 rounds. Much cheaper shooting, whether you were, regardless what you used a pistol for. Because if you weren't an operator, an OSS, a CIA assassin, or some kind of military special op guy, which there were very few of them, you had no need for a weapon like this. If you wanted a home defense handgun, you had plenty of variants available. Most of them were probably single action, or you had 9 mils. They were quite common by that point. So just the ammunition itself and the scarcity of it, the price of it, didn't help this weapon any. But they are hell for stout. Now, pre-pandemic, 2018, 2019, you could find this weapon on Gunbroker, now and then on the auction sites, in the neighborhood of $400, $500, depending on its provenance. If it was owned by anybody special, if it had any special provenance to it about its life. But nowadays, just a few short years later, these puppies demand a premium price. Took a fast jump. Now, I mentioned that I picked this up at a local distributor. This company's been in business here in town, God, since the 50s, early 60s. And this is a shameless plug. They haven't given me any money. They're not compensating me in any way. But I've known of this company since I was a teenager, and I'm almost tweenager since I was 12. When I was a teenager, just literally didn't hardly have a driver's license. I worked for this company in the warehouse, and I have done business with this company ever since that time. And it's one of those places where you walk in there, you're liable to find something you ain't never seen before. It might not happen every day, but it could happen once, 2, 3 times a year. It's Gene Sears Supply in El Reno, Oklahoma. Gene Sears, hell of a great guy, and I miss him. It's all family run, and he and his wife made an immeasurable contribution to the shooting sports. Gene was a championship, and I mean top tier level, state and national championship trap shooter. And he was a guy that in his day, in his run, which was quite long, if there was a championship trap meet, he was the guy you had to beat to get the top place. And he was super nice, and he was one hell of a fine shot. When it came to shooting trap, he had a very simple mantra on how to be so accurate, so good, on target all the time. He'd say, I don't give a shit. You're going to go out there and shoot 25 rocks or 2,500. If you want to break them all in a row, all you got to do is shoot them one rock at a time. Don't think behind, don't think ahead. Stay on that moment. And the man was a king in that for years and years. And his whole family's in the shooting sports. And super nice people. And because of the fact they've been in this industry so long, and because they have dealt not only in being distributors of new firearms, and reloading components and accessories and things like that, they also, over the years, have at times, in the purchasing and trading of used weapons or surplus weapons or others, they come across things that not everybody has a chance to come across. And this is one of those things that the rare find sitting in the showroom. I walked by it and looked at it probably twice and did not even recognize the fact that it was not a 22 semi-auto. It's just an awesome place. And they have a website. I'll try to post a link in the description. It's third generation, and the business name is Gene Sears Supply, and that's in El Reno, Oklahoma. And they're just a really cool place to go. And they have just about anything in the market you might be looking for, from reloading components, suppressors, shotguns, rifles, pistols. I mean, it's just, and they're going to have a lot of things that you could call seldom seen, and some things that are very rare like this. So I just had to give them that shout out, because they've always treated me really well, even when I worked for them. And they've always treated me well as a customer. So I want to give them that plug. All right, back to the pistol. Pardon me. Standard information. 5-inch barrel, obviously 380 caliber, 6-shot magazine, semi-auto operation. Now you'll notice it has a cutout just at the rear top portion of the grip, where you would think that you could engage a slide lock. And to a degree, that safety lever below the slide that engages that safety lock channel in the slide, it does go up in there. But I really don't think that they're designed to hold those open for very long. I really think it's designed to, you could throw it up in there and hold pressure with your thumb, but it seems a little iffy. But it is 1947. But it does do that. Of course, it's got an exposed hammer, and takedown is very simple on this weapon. Amazingly simple. This weapon is actually serial numbered 936, which puts it in first year production. And like I said, in total, by the sources I find on the net, on Gun Digest and Blue Book, 7,551 pistols were made, and if I'm not mistaken, probably close to a third or maybe a fifth were actually destroyed at the factory because they just weren't selling, and they had to repurpose the materials and the individual pieces to applying that back to what was their top seller, which was the 22 semi-auto, the military HDs and the A's, the B's, and the C's, all those others that I'm not intimately familiar with because I've never been a collector of these and I've never studied them. But when Ryan threw that down in front of me and showed me what it was, I thought, oh, okay, I may not be a collector, but I'm going to be an aficionado at the very least. So we're going to take this puppy out to the range, run some ammo through it, and I'm going to shoot one of the rarest pistols I've ever had a chance to, if not temporarily, own and shoot. So I'm going to give you a little close-up on it. I'm going to give you a little breakdown on its maintenance points as far as taking it apart, disassembling, putting it back together. It is basically the same, more or less the same format as the 22 semi-autos. It just depends on the year and the variant as to whether you had a bottom screw like Duramatic or you had the front plunger that just put straight in. It's basically the same simple thing. So stand by, I'm going to show you that. And then we're going to haul this puppy out to the range tomorrow and fire at least half a box of bullets through it. But we're not doing that today because it is 38 degrees with 28 to 32 mile an hour winds. And I'm not going out there and playing in that. I just got over being sick. So stand by and let's show a little breakdown real quick. Alrighty, let's check out how simple and easy it is to disassemble your high standard Model G 380 semi-auto pistol. Now you'll notice right down here, like a lot of the high standards had, early models on these especially, you have a serrated platform with a smooth edge, kind of this triangle widget. That operates a block inside this housing that locks the barrel onto the lower receiver. This weapon is empty. There is no ammunition. Alright. Simply depress, you're going to press this up. Barrel jumps forward. Now, it's a spring-loaded wedge, so you're going to want to give it a little extra love. Don't try to drag it across the top of that wedge. Go ahead and push that all the way up. That way you can remove the barrel without scratching anything up too bad. Now, to remove your slide, that's all it is, baby. And now, you can get in there and clean stuff, wipe the dirt and the grime out, spray her down, lube her up, and obviously, reverse process. Put the weapon back together. This is all routine maintenance. This is all designed to happen. Nothing's being done to this weapon that it was not designed to have done to it. You're going to want to depress that plunger again when you reassemble that. It'll go all the way back and meet the slide, but you'll see you have just a little bit of travel left here. When that falls down and locks into place and you're smooth, you're ready to rock, baby. It's that simple.